Before I start, I just want to say that I'll be talking about the lore of the book series I'm writing today. If you have no idea what that is, go watch this video where I introduce the subject. Okay, jumping into the actual video now. Hello everyone, and thank you so much for the positive reception to my book series announcement. I did not expect this many people to be interested in it so quickly. But I will say that I'm very excited for it too, and I can't wait for the day I get to share the story with everyone in full. Throughout that first video, I teased a certain element of the story that I didn't let myself talk about there because, well, I'll be honest, I thought it would take too long, and much as I'd love to blabber about every aspect of this series, I don't have infinite time for each video. However, I am more than happy to discuss it now. The book series I am writing has officially been named Charmwork, and the reason for this is simple. It's the primary magic and metaphor in the world. If I had to describe the world of Charmwork without talking about xenofiction or animals, I would be inclined to call it urban fantasy, because, by and large, it's a lot like our world. There are normal animals roaming about, all the cities and landmarks you're used to are around, and I even have a specific place in the world picked out for where I know the story takes place, based on the geography, types of trees, and population density I had already decided on. The only big differences are that, first, cats and dogs are a little more intellectually advanced, and that everyone in this world is capable of magic. The magic system of this world is based on trees, because they are a natural and stationary part of the world, take a long time to grow, live, and die, and have a lot of variety that I could pull on for different charm works. Also, I just really like trees, and I was going to get them as an integral part of the story in one way or another. When you are born in this world, the tree that you are closest to ties you to its unique type of charm work, and in the future, when you are around those types of trees and concentrating on your type of magic, you will be able to use that charm work. This applies to all animals in the world, with squirrels actually having been the first to discover the power. That's why they chose to live in and even plant more trees themselves. You might ask then, why isn't human society radically different? Why aren't all the people wandering around spraying out fire or communicating through their minds? Well, there's a couple of reasons. First is that humans developed a lot of buildings, technology, fire, and otherwise that replaced the need for magic, and often intruded on spaces where trees would be more easily accessed. Second is that charm work tends to be very subtle. You can't even use it at first unless you are standing near or touching the tree you were born closest to, and you know what you're supposed to be concentrating on. Even when you do get your magic working, most charm work involves manipulation of existing objects and senses, and isn't especially visible. The squirrels aren't blasting each other with beams of magic, so it's hard to tell the charm work even exists unless you are using it yourself or having it used on you. There actually are some humans in this world who cultivated their charm work, but it tends to be very difficult to convince humans that magic is real, so it hasn't spread very far. What of the cats then? Well, they weren't the first to discover charm work, nor the most experienced users of it. Many cats even live among the people in their houses or cities where they have as much chance of discovering or relying on charm work as those people do. However, for those in the wild, it's a precious and useful gift. Even in the wild, most cats only know the basics of charm work, respecting the trees for it, knowing which trees align with their own magic, and basing some of their holidays and customs around them. However, there are a couple of exceptions. Some cats, especially recently, have grown extremely interested in learning and teaching everything there is to know about charm work, and utilizing it to its full potential. And for this part, perhaps I should turn to them for their findings. Commander Orchid's summative report. May 7th, Mending Night. This report shall be presented to the Woodland Guard for use in future growth as the Commander's offering on this holiday. Findings were determined with the assistance of Lieutenant Nightshade, Scholar Aloe, and the input of each Woodland Guard member. Base knowledge. Charm Force is given to all creatures of the world on the day they are born. The type of Charm Force will depend on the type of tree a creature is born near, and the power of that creature's charm work will be based on proximity to that tree. Special care must be taken by all cats to have their kittens in precise conditions to maximize their potential. Obtaining charm work and proficiency. Once a creature is born, they may only access their charm work while in contact with the type of tree they were closest in proximity to at birth. Note, this shall hereafter be referred to as home tree. In rare cases, creatures may access this charm work in close proximity to their home tree rather than touching it. Further investigation is required to determine the cause of this. In all cases, for a creature to utilize their charm work away from their home tree, they must train themselves through focused study for a period of 2 weeks at minimum. Most creatures will obtain proficiency of their charm work over a longer period of time. Creatures who obtain proficiency at the minimum period may take the title Prodigy within the Woodland Guard. Note, this title is subject to commander approval and may be revoked if proficiency is not maintained. Even for those creatures who have obtained proficiency, Charm Force will run out after extended use. Creatures must recharge their Charm Force by returning to and making contact with their home tree. The Charm Force is a creature's tie to the trees of our world. The power does not belong to us. It is a gift. Practicing Charmwork. Utilizing the Charm Force for its intended purpose, regardless of proficiency, will always require a great deal of focused intent. The Woodland Guard is uniquely armed to assist in the development of this intent due to its resources and expertise. Be mindful of and thankful for this advantage. There have been differences noted in the methods by which each cat connects with their charm work. However, similarities exist across those who utilize the same variety of charm work. More research is required to determine the exact nature of each intent, but early hypotheses indicate that the best results come from focus on important memories and goals, such as the protection of your family and fellow guards, or the improvement we can bring to the forest together. It is best that, following the initial discovery of a kitten or recruit's Charm Force connection, that cat's purpose be determined and the audition be passed as soon as possible, in order to give time for targeted experimentation. Beyond proficiency, there have been cases where cats lost their Charmwork connection for a period of time, during adolescence and/or adulthood. Continued focus and practice towards your single defined career and goal is necessary to mitigate this. Power levels. Note, this information is procured exclusively by Woodland Guard members and is not to be shared outside its domain. Proximity to one's home tree at birth will determine your maximum power level later in life. The units of proximity are the mother's full body length. When planning litters, keep these units in mind. Level 1. Bear. Occurs when the closest tree to a creature's birth is within 128 units. Creatures of this level are not typically born in the forest. Charm Force will be slim. Level 0. Absent. Is rumored to occur when the closest tree is over 128 units. No confirmed cases are in region. Power will not exist for this user. Level 2. Very weak. Occurs when the closest tree is within 64 units. Power will not come easily. Level 3. Weak. Occurs when the closest tree is within 32 units. Power will be inconsistent. Level 4. Below average. Occurs when the closest tree is within 16 units. Power will be available, with some weak points. Level 5. Average. Occurs when the closest tree is within 8 units. Power will be available consistently. Level 6. Above average. Occurs when the closest tree is within 4 units. Power will be increased at some moments. Level 7. Strong. Occurs when the closest tree is within 2 units. Power will be increased with some weak points. Level 8. Very strong. Occurs when the closest tree is within 1 unit. Power will be consistently increased. Level 9. Exceptional. Occurs when the closest tree is touching the parent at birth. Power will be easily accessible at all times. Level 10. Deific. Is born only when a creature touches the noble wood and is granted Charm Force beyond any other. Power will be increased beyond all known levels. No known cases. Investigation will continue. Varieties of Charm Force. As previously stated, each unique type of tree will provide creatures with a unique type of charm work. In the region accessible to the Woodland Guard, rarity levels for these trees have been discovered, and their respective charm forces are grouped thusly. It is encouraged that parents looking to have a litter consult with the commander and scholar in order to procure kittens that will best provide for the guard. Compiled below is the list of all known types of tree and the respective charm force, as documented by the Woodland Guard. Identification of each tree is critical in reaching the result you aim for with your kittens. If ever you have difficulty confirming the identity of a tree, check with the current scholar and resource manager for clarification. This list is not to be released to any cat or creature save for the highest-ranking members of the Guard. Information will be given on a need-to-know basis in order to protect against outside forces. First rarity, extremely common. Varieties known, 2. First variety, beach. Power associated, speed. User will be able to increase their mobility and agility beyond their normal capabilities. The amount of control and effectiveness users receive from this tree is dependent upon the strength of the charm force of the user. Second variety, oak. Power associated, strength. User will be able to increase their force output and resilience beyond their normal capabilities. The amount of control and effectiveness users receive from this tree is dependent upon the strength of the charm force of the user. Next rarity, common. Varieties known, 7. First variety, maple. Power associated, shielding. User will be able to conjure faint barriers to ward off damage to themselves or others in their sights. The strength and size of these shields will depend upon the charm force of the user. Second variety, birch. Power associated, healing. User will be able to expedite the healing process of a sick or injured creature. Note, user cannot cause healing that would not occur naturally, i.e. reviving the dead or reforming lost limbs. Third variety, hickory. Power associated, stealth. User will be able to make themselves less noticeable by turning the attention of other creatures away from them and quieting the sounds of their movements. Fourth variety, locust. Power associated, sustenance. User will be able to increase their fortitude so they may last longer without food, water, temperature regulation, and sleep. The strength of this will depend upon the charm force of the user. Users with especially high power levels may be able to apply their charm work to others besides themselves. Fifth variety, sassafras. Power associated, amplification. User will be able to direct their charm force towards another charm work user and extend the strength and reach of their charm work. Note, there is a hypothesis that a sassafras user could amplify the strength of a second sassafras user, who, in turn, amplifies the power of an unrelated charm work user. This may increase the third user's power further than one sassafras user could accomplish. Sixth variety, pine. Power associated, shadow. User will be able to darken an area, intensify shadows, and widen areas of darkness. These users have natural immunity to their own darkness and can see through their own shadows regardless of how dim they are. Stronger users can cause specific creatures to be more or less affected by their shadows. Seventh variety, larch. Power associated, light. User will be able to brighten an area, intensify light sources, and push back darkness from an area. These users have natural immunity to their own light and will not be blinded by any of their own light sources. Stronger users can cause specific creatures to be more or less affected by their light. Next rarity, uncommon. Varieties known, 8. First variety, apple. Power associated, sensitivity. User will be able to extend their own physical senses, i.e. sight, smell, sound, touch, taste, past their normal capabilities. The amount of control and effectiveness users receive from this tree is dependent upon the strength of the charm force of the user. Second variety, cypress. Power associated, enlarging. User will be able to increase or decrease the size of themselves or objects for a short period of time. The amount they will be able to enlarge an object or themselves, and the time they will be able to sustain the change is dependent on the charm force of the user. Third variety, ash. Power associated, fire. User will be able to control and manipulate fire in an area. Fire cannot be created with this charm work alone. However, stronger users may be able to increase the quantity of existing fire in an area. Fourth variety, hemlock. Power associated, water. User will be able to control and manipulate water in an area. Water cannot be created with this charm work alone. However, stronger users may be able to increase the quantity of existing water in an area. Fifth variety, dogwood. Power associated, earth. User will be able to control and manipulate the soil and rocks in an area. Material cannot be created with this charm work alone. However, stronger users may be able to increase the quantity of existing dirt or pebbles in an area. Sixth variety, walnut. Power associated, wind. User will be able to control and manipulate wind gusts in an area. More air cannot be created with this charm work alone. However, stronger users may be able to increase the length of time an air supply will last. Seventh variety, tupelo. Power associated, electricity. User will be able to control and manipulate electric charges in an area. Stronger users may be able to manipulate the particles in the air, metal, or otherwise to create a charge where there wasn't one previously. But existing electrical circuits and lightning will always be easier to control. Seventh variety, magnolia. Power associated, flora. User will be able to control and manipulate flowers, ferns, and other living plants in an area. Stronger users may be able to assist in furthering the growth of these plants. It is expressly forbidden to use anything but growth encouragement on trees. Next rarity, rare. Varieties known? 7. First variety, Aspen. Power associated, telekinesis. User will be able to move stationary objects that they are able to see without making physical contact with them. Abilities most often extend to what creatures could accomplish independently, i.e., users will not often be able to move a full fallen log on their own, but these abilities may be strengthened based on the charm force of the user. Second variety, Cherry. Power associated, telepathy. User will be able to hear the thoughts of and send thoughts to other creatures whose language they could understand. Users must focus on one target at a time to hear thoughts from or send thoughts to, and will only hear surface thoughts of the target in most instances. The distance required to make this connection may be lengthened based on the charm force of the user. Third variety, Elm. Power associated, empathy. User will be able to read the feelings of other creatures as well as send feelings of their choice to those creatures. Users must focus on one target at a time to read the feelings of or send feelings to. The distance required to make this connection may be lengthened based on the charm force of the user. Fourth variety, Catalpa. Power associated, illusion. User will be able to create a sound, sensation, or image that does not truly exist in the world. Stronger users may be able to select which creatures can or can't sense their illusory creation, and the duration for which the illusion will be visible may be lengthened based on the charm force of the user. Fifth variety, Katsura. Power associated, animancy. Note, popular legends of this charmwork are inaccurate. While this is a powerful charmwork, it is not invincible and does not control or create life. User will be able to manipulate the actions of another creature, i.e. squirrel, fly, fox. They may give a simple command such as stop, go there, or jump, and the creature's body will follow to the best of its ability. Commands will not succeed if the creature is unable to physically complete the action, and in all cases, the creature will be aware of the charm work during and after the command. It takes a great deal of charm force to give even a single command, so it is imperative that users carefully select their actions. Second note, outside of training purposes, it is expressly forbidden to use this charm work on another guard member. Sixth variety, Willow. Power associated, necromancy. User will be able to manipulate the actions of a dead creature. They may give a simple command such as stop, go there, or jump, and the creature's body will follow to the best of its ability before falling back into a limp state. Commands will not succeed if the creature is unable to physically complete the action. It takes a great deal of charm force to give even a single command, so it is imperative that users carefully select their actions. Note, this charm work does not involve revival of the dead. Second note, outside of training purposes, it is expressly forbidden to use this charm work on a fallen guard member. Seventh variety, Cedar. Power associated, nullification. User will be able to extinguish the charm force supply of a target to different degrees depending on the strength of the user's own charm force. This may force their current charm work to stop, or it may deplete their charm force entirely and force them to recharge at their home tree. Final variety, extremely rare. Varieties known? 5. Note, less is known about these varieties of charm work due to their rarity. Each has at least one user among our ranks, as of this report. However, some are the first instances of this charm work that have been witnessed. Reports may be less concrete. First variety, Spruce. Power associated, reflection. User will be able to reflect any charm work intended by a target back onto the target themselves. The results of this vary based on the charm work being reflected. Spruce users reflect charm work intended for themselves or an ally in order to defend themselves while weakening an opponent, i.e. send water in the opposite intended direction from a hemlock target, slow rather than speed up each target, make a hickory target more rather than less visible. Second variety, Sycamore. Power associated, chaos. User will be able to access a different variety of charm work whenever their charm force is activated. Note, through study, it appears that Sycamore users are born powerless and must witness and learn from users of other charm works in order to access them. The charm work accessed when users activate their charm force will be random among those they have trained in. Third variety, Fur. Power associated, luck. User will be able to cause events to be more or less likely to occur based on what would benefit the user. Fur users do not appear to have direct control over which event is improved when they access their charm force, but it appears that, with the tree's blessing, these events do turn out in their favor. More research is required into the exact nature of these determinations. Fourth variety, Poplar. Power associated,
Time. User will be able to slow down or speed up the perception of time for themselves or another target. These users do not control time itself and, unlike popular ideas, cannot travel through time to the past or future, but can make the time they are in pass more quickly or slowly. The effect of a user's charm force strength on this variety is unknown due to low data, but it would appear that higher-level users are able to include multiple targets, i.e. themselves and an ally or group of enemies, in their Charmwork effects. Fifth variety, Alder. Power associated, Future. Note, as the Guard's current scholar is the only known Alder user, data for this section is based solely off of her testimony. User will be able to see glimpses of what possible futures hold. These visions show possibility rather than certainty, and specific criteria must be met for those future events to come to pass, or not. Specific figures or details may be unclear in these visions, so it takes significant training and insight to determine what is or should be true from these visions. This concludes the body of information the Woodland Guard has amassed on the nature and use of Charmwork. This report will be updated as new information is collected. Alert the commander or lieutenant if any new discoveries are made.
Thank you for that lovely report, everyone. Multiple generations of work have gone into the production of that piece, but much of the work has been done by the Woodland Guard's current leadership team, so well done to them. As myself, though, I'll admit that there is a reason I had to give you all of this information filtered through the perspective of characters within the story. The true nature of Charmwork, the way that a creature is truly able to master it, and why it works the way it does for each cat, dog, squirrel, or fox, is something only I really know. Each character in the story has a piece of the true answer, and by the end of the Charmwork series, the readers should have the full answer. But because of how interlocked it is with the character and plot arcs of the story, I can't give you all the details of that now. What I can tell you, at least in part, is how this magic system fits in with the group I described in the last video. Every creature does have access to Charmwork. They live in a part of the world that has too many trees around for anyone to be born without Charmwork at all. But creatures born in the city or with people do often have lower power levels than those born in the wild. Not just because there are more trees nearby, but because wild dwellers often know the rules and legends of Charmwork better than city folk and house cats do. There are also some types of trees that grow more often in cities than in the woods, and vice versa. As a result, everyone in our team has a different type of Charmwork. One of them may already be obvious by their name alone, but let's go through them to be sure. Lotta, I'll give you right now, is a birch user. She has access to healing Charmwork, which underlies a fair amount of her character arc, as well as her relationships with some other characters in the group. Other than those born in the wild who already know how to use their Charmwork, she is going to be the first to discover hers, and it will be a big part of her journey. Manny won't discover her Charmwork immediately, but when she does, it turns out she's a Pine user, someone who has Shadow Charmwork. Manny is the character who has the fewest feelings wrapped up in her Charmwork. She'll find it fun and useful, but doesn't tie it to her identity. Spring, doesn't discover her Charmwork for quite a while, and I'll say at least that it won't be in the first book. Unlike Manny, she has a lot of feelings about this, and about what her Charmwork is when she discovers it. I'll leave that a secret for now, though. Elm is unquestionably the most obvious, because in their family it was a tradition to name kittens after their home tree once it was discovered. So yeah, they're an Elm user, giving them empathy Charmwork. This is something they lived with all their life, and it is deeply ingrained into how they see the world, interact with others, and determine goals. There's a reason they fall so quickly into a wise old mentor type role. Privette is an odd case, because while she never seems to use her Charmwork over the course of the first book, when it comes up in discussion, it seems to be the thing she is most proud of, and willing to expound upon, in contrast to her normally reserved or insecure presentation. I won't go into why that is right now, because it's not something she divulges until the second book, but I will say that Privette is a Sycamore user. Yeah, one of the extremely rare ones. So she has access to Chaos Charmwork. And I'll say absolutely nothing else about that. Foxtail is the one I'm not going to let you in on at all. Both he and Privette have a lot of complicated feelings around their Charmwork and how it fits into their upbringings and futures. But the differences in their upbringings have given them different attitudes about their Charmwork. While Pravette seems more proud of her Charmwork than she normally is about anything, Foxtail is reluctant to even mention his. Because of that, I'm going to leave that as a surprise for a while, but you're free to speculate now that all the known Charmwork varieties in this region have been made available to you. If you'd like, I included a copy of Orchid's report as a document linked in the description for easier viewing. And if you can guess what type of tree you might have been born closest to, let me know which variety of Charmwork you would have been tied to in this world. I guess it's obvious by now that I've put a lot of thought and time into the different aspects of Charmwork the series already, with the Charmwork itself being one of the key aspects of it. It was really important to me that I tinker with the magic system enough for it to be deeply ingrained in the world and characters, and that I give each character their own relationship with the Charmwork in order to tell the story. That goes for protagonists and antagonists, of course. Now that I've finally gotten to tell you all about it, I hope it was entertaining to listen to. And definitely let me know if there's any other aspect of the story you'd like me to discuss. I could and would ramble about this series forever if I had the time. Thank you for watching, and always remember that
diligent study will always lead to exemplary results.